All right, so hello everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everyone is feeling all right. Today I wanted to talk about the incredible geography of the United States of America. My name is Alden and I had a really, really lovely experience in the Czech Republic. It's easily my favorite country. And I was a former Fulbright ETA, as Christina said, in Žatec. Here you can see me visiting some of the local landscape, some Czech geography for you. And I also had the wonderful opportunity of teaching at an English-speaking summer camp in Nečtiny with former Fulbrighter Jiří Harajda. And at the moment, I am teaching English full-time in Kisújszállás, Hungary, about an 8-hour drive from Prague. So let's go ahead and get into today's lesson. But before that, I come from the state of New York, and more specifically, I come from this little part of Long Island on the North Shore, just about halfway through the island. It's a place called Port Jefferson, and I was born and raised right here on the harbor. I'd also like to know where you call home. So my question to you now is, where is your home? And I believe Christina will let you know how to annotate this document so we can point to where we all call home.
So please go to the upper bar, horní lišta of your Zoom view if you are in Zoom. Click on View Options and click on Annotate. After you click the annotation button, you will get to a bar and there is an option to use stamps. So please go to stamps, pick an arrow, a star, a heart, whatever you like, and place it to the location in the Czech Republic where you are joining from today. So that we have, okay, I see many people have marked the map already. So again, view options on the upper bar of your Zoom view, then annotate. You will get a bar. There you pick mark and you can mark the map with your home location.
All right, well, this is excellent. I'm happy to see that Moravia is well represented in this group. I was very happy to see the fact that there are a lot of people from all over the Czech Republic here in this lesson. So this is excellent. These are some good places to visit once COVID is no longer an issue. All right, well, thank you all for sharing. Let's go ahead and let's get into the basics. Now, these are going to be some basic definitions, and these are absolutely some things that you can use on the Maturita exam when explaining your answers. So let's take a look at this. So, oh, the annotations are still there. So here in the United States, we have 4 separate regions. We have the Northeast, we have the South, the Midwest, and the American West as well as Alaska and Hawaii. All of these places have a very unique geographical aspect to them. For example, the Midwest has a very flat landscape. There aren't many mountains, but they do have these excellent tourist attractions that we call the Great Lakes. And if you take a look at the American West, well, you'll see how many things you can really do in the American West based on its geography alone. And when it comes to the Northeast, there's also plenty of variety of geographical activities that you can participate in if you are to ever visit. Let's take a look at these 4 regions, as well as the states of Alaska and Hawaii, which need a little bit of their own explanation. But first, a little bit of a matching exercise. So what I would like you to do is in the chat window, if you can either direct message me or share your answers with everyone, please match these definitions to the pictures that you see here. So 6 definitions, and please match them with these 6 pictures. We will go over them after a few minutes of all of you answering. So let's take 3 minutes for this. Go ahead. And maybe to make this a little bit clearer, please match the number of the picture that you see here with the definition. For example, okay, yes, good. Claire has got it down. So if you can follow Claire's format, that would be perfect. Nicely done. So far, everybody is doing a fantastic job. We'll give it 1 more minute. All right, nicely done, everybody. These all appear to be absolutely perfect. So we, of course, have a mountain, a lake, a tundra, plains, an archipelago, and of course, the canyon. Now, some of these definitions might be a little bit tricky, so I figured we could go over them. So, for example, a mountain, that's pretty easy. I'm sure everybody knows that. It's a large natural elevation of the Earth's surface. And it's basically rising abruptly from the surrounding level, a large steep hill. A canyon is a deep gorge, typically one with a river flowing through it, as found in North America. Some canyons are formed just by a tiny little stream. For example, the Grand Canyon was once a tiny little stream that eventually turned into a massive river, but we'll get to that. An archipelago, this is one of the trickier definitions. It's an extensive group of islands. For example, what we have here is Hawaii, and that is an archipelago, an extensive group of islands. But it sounds like everybody is very comfortable with these definitions as it is, based on your answers. The plains, it's a large area of flat land with only a few trees, if any at all. The tundra, Well, that is a vast, treeless, flat Arctic region of Europe, Asia, and North America, with subsoil, which is permanently frozen. So the ground itself is always frozen. It's always cold there. And as a result of it, it's very hard to build roads or to really live in areas that have a tundra as their sort of geographical, as their geography. And of course, a lake, any relatively large body of water of either slowly moving or standing water that occupies an inland baseline of appreciable size. And remember, the difference between a pond and a lake is that with a pond, sunlight actually reaches the bottom. But with a lake, it's usually too deep and too large for the sunlight to actually reach the bottom. And so lakes are seen as larger. So very good, everybody. Let's first take a look at the mountains of America. Now, of America are vast, and we have some of the largest mountain ranges in the world. For example, we have the Rocky Mountains, which are easily the largest, the Appalachian Mountains, and the Sierra Nevada mountain range, which occupies California and borders Nevada. Now, it's not just here that mountain ranges exist. We even have them in Alaska and Hawaii, but we'll get to those as well. Some popular mountain activities include things like skiing, hiking, snowboarding, and sledding. The Rocky Mountains stretch 4,828 kilometers from Montana to New Mexico. It's the largest mountain range in America, and it is really known for its amazing views and, of course, your ability to ski, snowboard, and sled on them as well. And then we have the Appalachian Mountains, which run from Canada to central Alabama. The Rockies also range from Canada as well. But here, the Appalachian Mountains dominate the Northeast as well as the American South. And these pictures here on the left, this top one is the Sierra Nevada mountain range. The Appalachians look absolutely gorgeous in the fall. These are the Appalachian Mountains. And here we have the Rocky Mountains, which are basically occupying the American West for the most part. Now, there are even famous Czech people who have visited these mountains. For example, if we look at some of these activities, people go skiing, they go rock climbing, and they go snowboarding. Adam Ondra, world famous rock climber, a rock climbing extraordinaire, actually has a record in Yosemite, which is in California. So Czech rock climbers have actually taken advantage of the beautiful geography that we have here in the American West. And one of them has even gotten himself an award. I see we have a couple of Adam Ondra fans in the chat. That's fantastic. Okay, excellent. So let's take a look now at the counterpart of a mountain, which is the canyons. Here we have some really incredible canyons in the United States. While the most famous one is, of course, the Grand Canyon, which is 1,829 meters deep and is right here in Arizona. There are canyons throughout the United States. Arizona, Oregon, Colorado, even in my college state of Pennsylvania, we have a few canyons. Now, like I said, canyons have a river flowing through them usually, and they're almost always created by tiny little streams that eventually become these big, fascinating rivers. Well, people take advantage of that as well. For example, some of the things that you can do in the canyons are rafting, camping, and of course, sightseeing. There are plenty of people that go on tours throughout the Grand Canyon in Arizona and really take the time to learn about the natural environment that dominates the American West. Some people also take pictures of themselves in the Grand Canyon Sometimes they take pictures of themselves hanging off of the rocks. If you ever visit, I don't recommend doing this, but you might see some people who are crazy enough to try it. And the next is, well, it's a very fascinating part of the United States, as it is far removed from the actual continental part of the US. And that is, of course, Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is unique. It's America's archipelago. Not only does it have mountains and canyons, but it also has beaches, caves, and volcanoes, all within a very close space. There are 4 main islands. We have Kauai, Oahu, Maui, and Hawaii, which is also known as the Big Island. The Aloha State is known for a lot of things. And one thing in particular is, if you can see this picture right here, this is actually a mountain range. Each of these islands have a variety of volcanoes. Some are active and some are dormant. And actually, as a matter of fact, it was only a few years ago that an active volcano erupted. And if my sources are correct, there was even an active volcano that erupted recently in either 2020 or 2021. So these volcanoes still play a pretty big role in the experience of a local Hawaiian person. And yes, Hawaii is absolutely a paradise for anyone that goes to visit. Now, I wanted to ask all of you, since Hawaii has so many beaches with lots of waves, what do you think are some activities that you can do in Hawaii? For example, in the mountains, you can go climbing, but what about on the beaches? What do you think people do in Hawaii for fun? These are some good answers. These are really funny. Let's see. Excellent. These are fantastic. These are all things that these, and maybe explain some new ones that maybe you've never heard of. Some of these answers are really funny. All right, so for example, a lot of people said surfing. Yeah, of course, the quintessential Hawaiian activity. If you ever go, please give it a try. There are some nice beaches, especially on the island of Oahu, where the waves are nice and smooth, and it's a great place to start learning. Yes, absolutely. You know, people dance on the beaches, they relax. Other people like to go fishing. There are a lot of different types of fish that surround the Hawaiian Islands. And someone also said snorkeling. If you decide to go snorkeling, you can actually see all of the different types of fish that you can catch in the Hawaiian Islands. And of course, we have stand-up paddleboarding. This is a nice and relaxing activity that has recently caught on in the past 5 or 10 years. And it's great for families to go and give it a try together. In addition to this, we have what is probably the most fascinating thing about modern Hawaiian culture is that they managed to maintain the outrigger canoe's relevance. Now, an outrigger canoe, well, the first one was designed in 200 AD, so it's been around for centuries. And what this canoe was supposed to do is be very easy to navigate the water and to navigate the waves. And what Hawaiians would do is they would build really big outrigger canoes, and they would have, you know, well, dozens of people on them, and they would go exploring. Ancient Hawaiian people would find new land and would be able to go from all the islands in the Pacific to one another using these outrigger canoes. Sometimes they have a sail and other times they don't, but they're excellent for navigating and maneuvering. So I thought this was definitely something to share based on the geography of Hawaii. The outrigger canoe is essential to know about. All right, really good answers once again. Some really funny answers in there as well. All right, let's continue. Now we've got the American Midwest. Now the American Midwest is, it's known for the plains. And the American Midwest typically is, typically people call it the sort of the east end of Ohio to the sort of west end of Nebraska. But despite the fact that it is relatively flat and only has a few trees, there are some truly incredible things that you can see based on the geography of the Midwest. For example, bison. Everybody loves bison. They're America's Midwestern plains animal. They're absolutely the symbol of the American plains and the American Midwest. And what they do is they roam in herds in all of these states. For example, we have North and South Dakota, as well as Nebraska and Minnesota. And specifically in North and South Dakota, we have the Badlands. Now, the Badlands are these really incredible rock formations that you can see in the two Dakotas. And they're a big tourist attraction, and people have actually sung about them in plenty of songs. For example, the Red Hot Chili Peppers has a line about the Badlands in their song, Danny California. So it's a famous tourist attraction. And in addition to these, we also have quite a few massive sculptures, especially here, once again, in the Dakotas. We have something called Mount Rushmore, which you might have heard of. It depicts some of the European colonists and settlers who would eventually go on to be the sort of founding fathers of the United States, and of course, some later presidents as well. In addition to that, we have the relief carving of Crazy Horse, who is a very important figure in Native American history as well. And if you're more into city life, you can see the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri, which is another famous tourist attraction. So let's check those out. So here we've got the sculpture, or rather the carving of Crazy Horse in the Dakotas, as well as the, of course, Mount Rushmore carvings. And then we also have here the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to ask you again to use those annotations and either put a heart, a star, or a sticker on the place that you want to visit out of these 4 pictures that you see here. So take a second to put a heart on. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Good. It's nice to see that every place is getting a little bit of love. You know, as I was expecting maybe one place to dominate, but this is fantastic. This is great. All right, excellent. So this is the American Plains and the American Midwest. Now we'll be shifting to another sort of unique region that we have in America. It's, again, not technically a part of the continental United States, but it is still a state nonetheless. And as a matter of fact, it's the biggest state that we have, and that is Alaska, America's tundra. So Alaska is unique for a few reasons. One is that it's frozen all year long, especially in the northern part. You can't really build roads in Alaska. So a fun fact is that many people actually get around using planes since the state is so massive. Even California and Texas pale in comparison by size to Alaska. And Alaska is also unique because you can see the northern lights. For example, here's a picture in the Denali mountain range. It's pretty much the only place in the US where you can see the northern lights. And it's the only place in the US that has this truly untouched wilderness, especially once again in the sort of far north. And I also wanted to include the flag because the flag is, it's very cool. We have the North Star here, as Alaska is the northernmost state in the US. And we also have the Big Dipper. And the Big Dipper is on their flag because it's a part of a constellation that resembles a bear. And the bear is a symbol of Alaska, as well as a few other states like California, but there are lots of bears in Alaska as well. It's the sort of untouched wilderness that Alaska has maintained to this day. Now, we also have the largest mountain in all of America. It's Mount McKinley in the Denali mountain range, and it stands at 6,190 meters tall. So this is a massive mountain, which you can see here. And it's truly just a beautiful place because of its wilderness and because of its unique geographical features. It has the mountains, it has the northern lights, and again, all of these different things you can see, for example, bears. So once again, I wanted to ask, what are some things that you can see in Alaska? What kind of wildlife do you think you would be able to see in this far northern state? Take a few guesses in the chat. These are some good answers as well. Yes, absolutely. All right, yeah, very nice answers. Lots of wildlife, lots of people who are trying to experience nature in its sort of raw form. And so these are, again, some really clever answers in the chat. Let's go ahead and take a look. So what people love to do is they love to really take a look at wildlife. And I noticed some people have been talking about climate change as well. Yes, there are absolutely some tours that give you information about climate change and how it's affecting the tundra and other frozen areas that are supposed to remain frozen. So these are excellent. But here you can see a family of moose. You can go on tours and occasionally even see bears. And of course, there are even boats that will bring you around and show you the aquatic life that lives off the coasts of Alaska. For example, whales and other large aquatic mammals. And probably the coolest thing that I absolutely adore about Alaska is dog sledding. Again, once you get far enough north, roads are not really a viable option. It's not easy to build them everywhere. And so some people, for fun and for practicality, will actually have dogs pull them around in a sled. So again, Alaska is very unique. Sometimes you'll get around via dog or by plane, but not always by car. So again, very different from the rest of the United States. And again, that is what happens when you live in an eternally frozen tundra. So this is good. Last order of business now is the Great Lakes. So the Great Lakes are very, very important in the United States history because many Native American nations actually settled along these Great Lakes. For example, the Erie Native American nations settled on Lake Erie. And one of these Great Lakes, especially Lake Michigan, plays a crucial role in the tourism for a city like Chicago. However, when it comes to the Great Lakes, the largest of them all is Lake Superior. Lake Superior actually exists in Canada and the United States, along with Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario. And Lake Superior is 82,103 kilometers squared. So this is an absolutely massive lake. We have a lake here in Balaton, and this is in Hungary. And you can probably fit like, I don't even know how many, but maybe like 5 to 10 Lake Balatons in Lake Superior. It's absolutely massive, and you can fit fully sized boats on this lake. And basically what these do is they sort of dominate the Midwestern territory of the United States, as well as some of the Northeast with Lake Ontario. Now, there are plenty of activities to do on lakes as well. They differ slightly from these other activities that we've seen in Hawaii because there are no waves. But I challenge you all to guess, what are some activities that people will do on the Great Lakes when they visit America? Yeah, these are some really good answers. Once again, some really funny ones. I was not expecting so many funny answers. All right. Yeah, these are perfect. Some of these are spot on and others are fantastic. They're all relevant. These are all really good. Last thing I also wanted to say specifically about Lake Michigan is that it actually has a connection with the Mississippi River and even the Gulf of Mexico through a few little offshoots from the lake. So it's a lake that actually feeds into America's important Mississippi River. So let's take a look at what you can do here on these lakes. Of course, fishing, cookouts, canoeing, hiking, camping, absolutely. We have water skiing and wakeboarding. There are a lot of people, a lot of my friends actually who live in the Midwest, love to go wakeboarding and water skiing on these massive lakes. And while these are just some of the activities, you can even go paddleboarding. Once again, this is actually me in Lake Michigan when I was working in Chicago for a summer. And of course, sailing. People really, really love sailing. It's a nice, relaxing activity. And it's something that if you can afford a boat, you can really get to explore the lakes and the little towns and areas along these Great Lakes. So with that, we've covered, well, just about everything that is geography in the US. And Now, what I wanted to do was just to see if you can remember some facts, some details about these geographical features. Let's take a little pop quiz. No pressure or anything, but some questions for you. What is the tallest mountain in the United States? What is an archipelago? Name one tourist attraction that you can do in the Grand Canyon. What is the largest lake in the US? And what animal roams the American Midwestern plains? Nicely done. These answers are really good. A lot of these are almost perfect, and some of them are perfect. Nicely done. Yeah, excellent. Really, really excellent. So I see people saying Mount Denali or Mount McKinley. Kind of goes by both names. So yes, that's the tallest mountain. Nicely done. We've got the archipelago. It's a group of islands. Some people are saying Hawaii, and while that is true, the technical definition is a group of islands, but I'll take it. And name one tourist attraction in the Grand Canyon. Yeah, no, there are plenty of things that you can do. So if you're saying things like rafting or sightseeing or bungee jumping or going up in a helicopter, that's all good. What is the largest lake in the US? Technically, it is Superior, although Superior does border Canada. One of the largest Great Lakes that is only in the US is Michigan. So I could see why there'd be some confusion, but I would say in general, it's Superior. And of course, what animal roams the American Midwestern plains? It's the bison, which everybody is getting. So really nicely done, everyone. Really good memory with all these answers. And let's go ahead and take a look at this. Country Roads. This is a famous song by John Denver. He's an American artist who has actually written quite a few songs about American geography. And specifically, he writes about the Appalachian mountain range in this song, Take Me Home, Country Roads. He also has other songs that refer to the Rocky Mountains, Rocky Mountain High. And it's really incredible because American geography is so beautiful and so inspiring that it has created a sort of culture that is sort of revealed to us through the music that people write about these things. And I asked Christina if this is okay, but I'm going to play you and sing you the first verse and chorus of Take Me Home, Country Roads as a part of the lesson. So yeah, here we go. Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads. So yeah, that's really it. But that is just one of many examples of songs that have come from the United States about geography. Thank you very much for the comments. I appreciate them. But basically, if you can remember any of these for the Maturita exam, I think it would be really fantastic. And I think you know, you'd really wow who is ever instructing you. And the last thing I wanted to show you is this, and that is a little additional help. This website, Mr. Nussbaum, in the United States Landforms, this is, it's got all the definitions for you. If you need any kind of details about mountains, rivers, lakes, canyons, it's all here on this. You've even got a printable practice sheet. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask me personally after this lesson. I'd be more than happy to help you out any way I can. And so that's all that I have for you. I would like to now hear if you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Alden. It was great. I knew I can rely on you adding a music component even into a geography lesson. That was great. For everyone, if you have any questions or comments, please use the chat window where I have just shared the link to where we will also save Alden's presentation right after the lesson, and where you will find all the other materials for previous lessons. And there is a first question already from Sasha Shafrankova from Boskovice. Do you like any Czech singer or music group, Alden?
I think Ewa Farmer has a really pretty voice. There's also this group called Gump from Mevsdam, which I actually really like that song. That's a fun one. What Czech meal is my favorite? That's a good question. It's kind of hard to pick. I really do like svíčková. I know that's like, you know, the stereotypical answer, but svíčková is very tasty, and I have very good memories of actually being in Klinovec and having some of the best svíčková of my life. Movies that depict the American landscape. This is a good question. I'd have to think about that. There's okay. I have to think about that one. I'll try and sit with that one for a minute because I'm trying to think of something that might encapsulate every kind of geography. So I'll get back to you on that. Can I say something in Czech? I can try. Maybe not the best pronunciation, but I remember that tongue twister because in orientation for Fulbright, some of our other Fulbrighters who knew how to speak Czech were helping us with the pronunciation, and we repeated those many times. Let's see. Do I plan on staying in Europe or returning to the US? I actually plan on staying in Europe. At the moment, I think my heart is definitely still here. At least for the rest of this year. All right. Yeah, so these are good. Obviously, Harry Styles asks, do you like One Direction? Yeah, you know, I think they're pretty good. You know, there are some songs that, you know, I remember very fondly from my childhood. So yeah, I would say so. Let's see. How do you characterize the people of each areas in the US? I was expecting this question and I'm very happy somebody asked. Let's go back to the regions. So we've got let's start with the Northeast. The Northeast is interesting. A lot of people say that the Northeast is this, bustling area where people are willing to, walk all over you and basically shove you out of the way to get what they want. And that's partially true. I've noticed that in places like New York City, of course, and even in Boston, Massachusetts, but in my college town of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which is probably closer to the American South of the Midwest, it's not so much the case. So it really all depends. I mean, even up here in Maine, it's not as present. The South, I have a little experience with the South. It's very laid back. They like their barbecue. They have a very different way of sort of processing life. And Florida is its own unique state, as the map characterizes it as South, but the attitude sort of mirrors that of the Northeast and the Midwest, because a lot of people from states like Ohio and New York go to this state for vacation. The Midwest, people are very kind. They're very soft-spoken in comparison to the Northeast. Again, this isn't always the case. They love their football. They love American football. It's one of their favorite pastimes. And what they like to do is they like to also have these kind of cookouts that people in the South do. However, don't tell the Midwesterners, Southern barbecue is much better. And then in the American West, I would say that people are very ambitious in certain parts of the country. There's this sort of Silicon Valley mentality to a few Southern Californian people, but not everyone. There are only certain parts of this sort of region of the country in which people are extremely ambitious. Even Northern California is different from Southern California. Hawaii is completely different, of course, and Alaska is completely different. I don't actually have too much experience with those, as I've only been to Hawaii for a little bit and I've never been to Alaska. Maybe a little bit of a long answer, my apologies, but that's the basic rundown. All right, if you had to decide to live somewhere else in the USA, where would you love to live? I used to think California, but my mind has changed. I would probably say Hawaii. It's paradise, and even though it's far away from everything, I feel like the people are very kind, and I adore surfing, so I could just go surfing every day if I wanted to. Let's see, do I like learning languages? Yes, some more than others. I would definitely say I really like learning Romance languages, and while I liked learning Czech, I'm pretty bad at it. Hungarian is really difficult, so I would say that I don't particularly like to learn Hungarian. But again, I know a few words and I know enough to get around this part of the country. How many languages do I speak? Kind of depends where I am in the world, because when I lived in Italy, I spoke Italian. And now that I'm in Hungary, I speak, well, I wouldn't say I speak Hungarian. I kind of learn languages enough to the point where I can basically communicate with people, and then that's all. Maybe not the best policy for learning languages, but that's what I've been doing. Did you study music as your major? Well, I didn't study it as my major, but I was heavily involved in music at my college. I did separate activities that allowed me to do music, and I took some music classes. But I studied history, which of course involves a bit of geography, and I would also study art history for a little while before I eventually made it my minor rather than my major. So I majored in history, minored in art history, but love music and have done it since I was very young. Yeah, these are great questions. Thank you all for asking. What other American songwriters do I like? It's another good question. I really like the Foo Fighters. I've seen them in concert once. That was a lot of fun. I really like the band Weezer. They've kind of always stuck with me. I like sort of like those throwback songs from Green Day, Blink-182. 21 Pilots is really, they're really talented. Let's see, who else? Yeah, groups like that. What's my favorite film? At the moment, it's The Matrix. I think it's fascinating, and I really like the sort of message that the film brings to the table. And when I say The Matrix, I mean specifically the first one, because the series, well, it's fine. The first one really knocks it out of the park. Yeah, so some Czech singers, like I said before, I know Ewa Farmer a little bit. I know Karel Gott, of course, he's a classic. There's actually Karel Gott song. Do I like musicals? I used to do acting, so I love musicals. For example, I really like Dear Evan Hansen. The Hamilton soundtrack is fantastic. And where do I see myself in 10 years? These are really good questions. Thank you all for asking. 10 years down the line, I would say that I'm either working in a college as an admissions counselor, or perhaps someone that is helping coordinate maybe an international program, or possibly even teaching English full time. I'm trying to keep my options open. So any one of those three. My favorite American literature. I remember really enjoying Moby Dick when I first read it. I really love the ocean, and my favorite animals are whales. So when I read that, I thought it was fascinating. The sort of man versus nature conflict that's going on in that story, and it's also interesting to me because Long Island, while it hasn't been for a very long time, there used to be a shipbuilding industry there, and even a little bit of whaling business that would go on. And even though the book is in Massachusetts, there's still the connection of whaling and shipbuilding in my own hometown. So I sort of thought it was intriguing, that book, Moby Dick. Can I sing any Karel Gott song? Not well. If I practice the pronunciation, and maybe if I read the lyrics, I can sing the song better, but I don't think you want to hear me try at this moment in time. So maybe later, but yeah. Being a teacher, do you think it is more important to educate children in IT or in the humanities and music? Okay, interesting question. I think all of it. I really think that what students should be able to do is have access to all of the disciplines. And what I think, especially in America, we need to do is we need to stress the importance of everything. For example, the humanities and the arts are usually looked down upon. People say that they are, maybe less important, or, the jobs don't pay as well. So why would you get a degree in art history? Alden, why would you do that? Why would you get a degree in history? I think every discipline has a place, and every discipline should be respected for the amount of work and effort that is put into it by people that do research in each of these fields. So I think children should get the chance to have a little bit of time with the computer, and with maybe even software editing or video editing. And in addition to things like that, they should, of course, get math and science, and they should also be taken to museums, and they should be taken to places where they can learn a little bit more about music, and maybe just even play around with some instruments and sort of jam with them. I think it's all essential and all important. All right. What's the first thing that you would love to do when the pandemic is over? First of all, hi Terka, I miss you. And second of all, let's see. Honestly, come and visit the Czech Republic. I'm very close, and I would really hope to come and see everybody once a sort of herd immunity is achieved. That would be really lovely. Do you think Americans should put more effort into learning languages? Yes, absolutely, 100%. And I'm a little bit of a hypocrite when it comes to this, because I definitely need to put in more effort into learning languages myself. I did try very hard in Spanish, and I always did well in Spanish when I was learning it. But yes, Americans should. And I think the reason for that, especially now, is because Spanish is growing in its use throughout the United States. And I think for the future, other languages such as even Russian, Chinese, and German should be stressed a little bit more in the grand scheme of things. And this would help with, I believe, cultural empathy, as well as broadening the minds of American children. So this is all really, really good stuff, really, really good questions. Is there anything that really surprised you when you first visited the Czech Republic, something that is not common in the US, but is normal in the Czech Republic? Yeah, so I would definitely say children having this sort of freer attitude. Children, maybe they'll play a sport, maybe they'll do something, but they know how to relax. They know how to really just be okay with just enjoying the weekend. I noticed that myself, and a lot of Americans have this culture where it's like, you have to be productive, you have to do something. And, in the Czech Republic, when people were just enjoying life, maybe having a little beer, maybe just going for a walk with friends and family, that really spoke to me. And I thought, wow, I haven't seen this in America, at least not a lot. It's not considered normal in America. You always have to walk with a sense of purpose. Maybe it's a Northeastern thing, but it's definitely present in America. All right. What is your favorite place in the Czech Republic? It's a tie between Žatec and Nečtiny, simply because, half my heart is in both of those places based on my former experiences. Let's see. Okay. Do you think Americans should let more Europeans in? I think we should let more of everyone in. I mean, after the pandemic is sorted out, of course, after we're able to distribute the vaccines. But I would say yes, having Americans understand cultural empathy and actually talk to more people, that's important. And it's something that isn't stressed in the United States as of now. Let's see. Do you like Czech girls? This question is always asked. I like all people. Let's just say that much. I like all people. Okay, and so now that it's 4, yes, thank you for all these questions. And if you have any more questions, feel free to email me or write me a message, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. So have an excellent day, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thank you, Alden, for the presentation, and thank you for answering all those questions. It was amazing. Thank you so much. You received questions from all walks of life, including some very personal questions. So thank you for being patient. Thank you, everyone who watched today. I would like to also make a special announcement, because these live lessons seem to be that popular. We decided we will add 3 more themes that you picked in the previous feedback forms. So in the upcoming weeks and months, you can look forward to 3 additional topics. Number 1 will be US education system, which is something that many of you requested. Number 2 will be current US issues, social issues. And number 3 will be art. That will probably be the last theme before the summer break. So I will keep all of you informed. Please complete the feedback form as always, so that we know how we can improve our programming. And up to today, it's our pleasure to announce that we have reached about 3,500 Czech students and teachers, including you today, That's an incredible success. So please stay with us, keep watching our social media, and we will be passing more information to you soon. Thank you very much for Alden. Excellent job. It was the 6th live lesson, but the first one with live music.
Mantap,
so thank you very much for that great edition.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.